All right, more risotto, anybody? I'm getting more risotto. So y'all want to miss out, that's on y'all.
When growing up in Richmond, Virginia, I was a kid of divorced parents. Wasn't allowed to use the oven because my mom worked all day and she was not about to have me burn her house down. So it was microwave and toaster oven meals most of the time. To this day, I cannot eat a blueberry muffin without getting emotional, because if those were made, it meant that was her day off, and that's what she made for breakfast. When I got to high school, I was a double bass player, and that was a love. I did it all: marching band, show choir band, orchestra, wind ensemble. And then in the afternoons, we would do some cooking. My dad and I, in the evenings would watch Emerald Live, which was super cool. And that's where I guess the love of food hid, but the love of music was still there. I went to West Virginia University to get a Bachelor of Arts degree in music. And then I wound up doing a lot of tailgating. Like, I was the grill person at the tailgates. I would grill for 7 to 8 hours. Never felt like work. I graduated from WVU, got the opportunity to study with a bass player, Bar Phillips, in France, and I got to taste fresh bread and a baguette in Lyon, France, specifically, for 2 years. I was there for 2 years. So that's cool. I would not change that time from my life. After I came back from France, I was kind of just drifting from job to job, doing a few music things, but there was no passion or root to what I was doing. I'd actually gotten locked up right before COVID. Now I know better, life has changed, but I was reflecting my life. I'm like, okay, look, something has gone wrong. What caused me to make those poor choices? What caused me? And I was unhappy because I wasn't doing what I truly loved. Whenever I'm asked, what was incarceration like? It's very hard to describe in words because you're isolated, but you're with a bunch of other guys who are also isolated from the world. And you realize, yeah, they might have done something criminal to get locked up, but that's not them. Luckily, I had a supportive family that, hey, you want to do culinary or you're interested in food? All right, your Christmas is coming up. Name a few culinary books you would like. This is the book that I had when I was in prison. I actually got that as a gift and studied that. A few weeks before being released to a halfway house, I was actually a little frustrated. I was trying to search for different culinary programs. Luckily, I was already with the 4-7 group, because once a week we could all kind of share our struggles a little bit in a nice, safe environment. Joe said, CityLink has a culinary training program. You should check them out. I said, okay, I'll take a look. It can be a final test to say, hey, do you really want to do this? Do you really love this? Can you handle the heat of the kitchen? When I first came to CityLink, I didn't know what to expect. But I enter this big building and I meet Danny, who you hear of like rays of sunshine. She's more like a ball of cosmic solar energy in terms of like her energy and happiness level. And then I met Rachel, and it was cool, man. It made me feel really good. And then I got lucky. I had Emily as a client service coordinator, and she understood my goals right away. I'm like, hey, this is my situation.
So when I first met Frank, he prepped me to say, all right, I'm gonna get ready to just tell you everything about me, and we're gonna work through all these things. And I said, I'm ready, I'm ready. Frank really uses the team here at CityLink.
I know what I want to do. I want to do the culinary training program, and I know I want to cook, but I don't know what all my needs are going to be because I don't know what else is going to pop up.
Even as you journey from the beginning of your time at CityLink Center into any of the programs that are here, life happens and things come up. And to have someone to go to be your person that's your sounding board, but then also a resource for you, it really starts to make sense because you've spent the time building the relationship.
And she's like, okay, let's get you rolling. I also started meeting with Lawrence from Greater Cincinnati Behavioral Health. We worked a lot on mindfulness. And I think it's important for a lot of us who are re-entering society to have a counselor that we talk to. Because the state of Ohio, their expectation is you are to re-enter society and be a functioning member in your community. That can be a real burden sometimes when you're not given really that many resources. The culinary training program, I feel very fortunate to have studied under Chef Mills.
So in the kitchen, you're learning things like professional knife skills, how to prep different types of meat safely. You're working as a team to build recipes and then sample them out to the people in classes in CityLink.
Well, after I graduated, I got a job as a line cook working for TQL Stadium, the home of FC Cincinnati. And then at the same time, I knew that I wanted to become a good chef one day, a great chef one day. So I went ahead and applied for Cincinnati State to join their culinary program. Recently, I got promoted to lead cook at the TQL Stadium. So that's exciting. In the midst of going to school, I didn't have a car, and I was taking the bus and then walking a lot to the point where I wore through 2 pairs of shoes in the summer. I got with Michelle, the smart money coordinator. She looked at it and she's like, actually, we can help you do your back taxes. I'm like, really? That would be awesome. Michelle helped me get all that lined up. Refund checks started coming in towards the late end of the summer, so I had some money in the bank. And then all of a sudden I could afford car payments. So she was like, well, you are eligible for changing gears. So it was early, graduate, that next Monday, start my new job. I end at the Talbert House. That Monday, I get a car through changing gears. And then one of the checks came from my tax return, and I just paid the car off a week later. So that was awesome, and everyone cheered for me. Getting the car in that short amount of time was a very large deal to me because I was getting my life back from when it got lost. When I got locked up, I had lost everything. House, car, several different possessions, the job, everything. I'd lost everything. And having the car in my possession meant that was one more thing I had gotten back, and I could just move forward with my life. And all of a sudden, I had a job. I had a car back. I'd gotten some of the tax money back. I'd gotten freedom back.
Look at you on your feet. Look at you on your feet. Yay! Look at you. Growing up, as I hit preteen, my mother and father was going through a split, and me and my siblings became a ward of the state. We moved around even more then, just from foster home to foster home. But during that time, I don't know, just start looking for love in all the wrong places. I had a son when I was 15, so I went and applied for my GED. I went and enrolled into Cincinnati State. I started going, and then it was hard to find secure childcare there, so I got kicked out for attendance. Academics was always great. I just didn't have great attendance being an early mom. I had honesty a year later, and that's when I started getting more knowledge and more help as far as finding child care and how to apply for things like that. I got back into Cincinnati State. I was not in like the best relationship, so got out again because of attendance. So after that, I kind of hit a rough patch to where I just was like, what am I doing? I have other children to respond for, and I can't carry them through the same thing that I went through in life, moving around from place to place and not having structure, settlement, and things like that. A couple more children later, I had a baby that passed from SID, so I kind of got back introduced to the system. And next thing I knew, I lost my child on the same day, and then I was fighting for my kids back. So I fought for my kids back. I got my kids back. It was the hardest time in my life. Once I got them back, I was able to focus on me and what I wanted to do to be able to show them that you can be a better person, like against everything. I heard about CityLink through a representative at CMHA, actually. So I was over there checking on some new housing leads. I wanted to move. And she had mentioned that she heard about an automotive class at CityLink. And I was like, I love working on cars. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it was awesome. As soon as I left CMHA, I came over to CityLink. And at first I remember trying to excuse myself for every reason, oh, they're closed, it's getting late, you can come back tomorrow, you have other things to do. And then something was just go inside. I just got this spark of energy, and I came inside and I was able to meet this lady, and we sat down and talked about the classes and things that CityLink had to offer. I got introduced to Claire. She's so awesome. From then on, she was able to just sit down and talk with me and just what's going on, what can prevent you, if this is what you want to do, what would be things that could get in the way, what would be obstacles. In all honesty, she thought about everything that would stop me from being able to complete the class. I was able to meet with the people at Changing Gears and sitting down and going over why I wanted to work on cars. I was just super excited. I was more pumped than I was just knowing that this was a class that was offered. The first day of class, I felt like a kid in a candy store. That's how I knew. I was I'm just so happy. I'm so energized, so pumped. And I really, really, really was. And I still am. I love working in a shop. Absolutely. I was also given a minivan through the Changing Gears program to help me have transportation back and forth to work. The bridge program, what they do is actually take the Blue Book value of the car and cut it in half, and then they make it reachable and reasonable for the client or people like me to be able to pay and afford. With the stable job, I'm paying on that car to pay it off. I also now have car insurance, which I never had before. So they're teaching me to be a responsible driver as well. And my goal is to be able to buy my own car off a lot in the future.
It's no joke to go into the auto tech field. And as a woman, Sapphire's paving the way. And so it's extremely important that she has decided to do this and really set the path.
I got my interview. I say about 3 questions in, I noticed right then and there, he was not trying to hire me for a lube tech position. They just didn't value my time or me as a woman. So it was just the dramatic change. I knew after that interview that it was going to be hard. I was very, very excited, and I'm not gonna lie, enrolling into the program, I knew that there was gonna be some challenges, but I did not think it was gonna be this hard. There's a lot of sexist when it comes to mechanics. A lot of people look upon women as they're not good enough to be a mechanic. They're not strong enough, they can't get the job done. I actually went through 7 more interviews after that. It was very discouraging. I remember calling my mom, just explaining I don't know what it is. And she's keep forth with it. Something always works. You're just so determined, just keep going, keep going. I've seen an apprenticeship program on Indeed. I went out there and the interview just made me so warm. It made me feel like I was talking to my father, and I was just this is where I'm supposed to be. I remember the moment he said, and because you're a woman, I'm not gonna discriminate, but I'm also not cutting you any slack. And I was this is where I'm at. This is where I need to be. And it was so awesome. He was how soon can you start? I'm I'll start paperwork now. Now with having this job, I'm able to reward my kids. They have always been great kids, but to be able to reward them and give them extra on top of their necessities and their needs, it feels good. I want to be able to just do different for my kids. I'm able to take my daughter out and give her nail dates because she's on a honor roll. I'm able to go out and buy her a dog. I'm able to go out and get my son those Jordans. I didn't have that growing up. I'm very proud of myself, and my kids, they let me know every day. And just to hear them say that, like, Mom, I'm proud of you. You've done it. Like, it feels so good. It feels so good. It feels so good.
All right, team, so we're going up here to Wooden Woods Park to collect some trash, do a little litter picking up there, you know, our usual. We good, team? All right. Let me tell you all a little bit about Andrea. I grew up as a military brat, as they call it. It's all I knew growing up was traveling. My coming of age, I mainly grew up in Texas. It was a little complicated because I grew up with a learning disability that I didn't learn about till later on in life. And it was hard for me in a big group setting, so we learned later on that I needed to learn in a smaller group setting. But I grew out of that, and I learned that I could learn and that I was intelligent. I just had a different way of learning. I became a mom very early in age. I got pregnant with my first son at age 15. My dad was hurt. My mom was very supportive. She helped me a lot with raising my child because I was still so young, immature. So I had a lot of growing to do. I went to a teenage pregnancy school where you could bring your child with you to school. They had a daycare. So that was very helpful, being around other teenagers that was in my same circumstance. And then with my second child, it was different. Vaughn, my second son, his dad was involved. We were still together. He was in the military, and we have a great relationship still. When I had my twins, it was very challenging at that time because their dad didn't really know how to handle that either, so he was kind of off in his own space. And I was trying to take care and balance that a little bit by myself, so I didn't have the support, which was kind of my fault because I shut a lot of people out with my depression, using a lot of substances, alcohol, marijuana, and that's what led me to incarceration. At the time, their father really wasn't helping me. He just kind of backed out of our lives. I was upset with him. I was drinking a lot of alcohol one day, and I became upset, and I put my children in the car and went to his house. We got in an argument. He was in his driveway, and I tried to run him over with my vehicle, and it was all on video. So he ended up being incarcerated for child support, and the roommate turned in the videotape to the detectives when they came to his home. Their father tried to have the charges dropped, but unfortunately the state picked him up, and they would not honor the victim. They decided to carry on. Even though I didn't hit him with the vehicle or anything, they still gave me 2 years for felonious assault with a deadly weapon. After being incarcerated, that really sent me down a depressive slope. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just had everybody telling me, that charge carried 2 to 8 years. My lawyer told me that basically I better take that deal or the judge is going to make sure that she gives me the most time she can. So I was scared, so I did go ahead and take the 2 years because I was afraid that I would get more time and have more time away from my family, my kids. When I found out that I was going away, I panicked because my twins' father was locked up for child support at that time. So I drove my boys across country to Texas just to make sure that they're safe. I wanted to get them to my parents so that I knew that they were with people that I trusted, my family, and I knew they would be okay. And one day when I dropped them off to school and came back, it was these undercover cars there as soon as I parked. I was just so scared because I knew that was the last time that I got to see my boys. I know that was the most painful part, knowing that I was getting picked up and I wasn't going to see them again and they weren't going to understand what happened. I started going to groups in jail, people from churches and different things like that, so that really helped me out a lot. My prayer and my faith in God is what really helped me through and just the people around me. After gaining my freedom, I ended up in the halfway house here in Cincinnati called Pathways, and that's how I learned about CityLink. I didn't know where I was going to gain income from after coming home, and I really thought like nobody's going to give me a job coming out of prison. This is the best place I could have ever came to. They've helped me so much after being incarcerated. Once I got to CityLink, my service coordinator gave me a lot of inspirational information about programs here like Changing Gears. They helped me with my vehicle when I first came. I didn't have a lot of money, and they actually worked on my vehicle and didn't charge me anything for my oil change. They only charge us half for any items that we need worked on. I also engage with Smart Money here at CityLink Center with a lady named Michelle. She is very inspirational. She knows how to break down numbers. If you have any issues or questions with your finances, she is the go-to person for that. I'm actually going to be setting up an appointment with her soon so that I can make sure that I get my budgeting and finances in order. They also connected me with another place at the Free Store Food Bank here on Liberty. It didn't cost me anything. They help you get your forklift license. I never thought that I would be driving a forklift, but I accomplished that goal, so I'm proud of myself. So after I got my forklift certification, I got a job that I stuck with for about a year. I ended up losing that job, unfortunately. Went down a little down spiral slope. Then I remembered CityLink, so I came down here to spoke with Jasmine Brown, which is one of the case managers in the CEO building.
For the Center for Employment Opportunities, individuals start with Pathways to Employment, which is a 2-day workshop where you're learning how to start on their temporary work crews. So as individuals graduate from Pathways to Employment, they start on work immediately. And on the work crew, you're paid every single day.
That was a blessing because it helped me gain employment here. I went from being on crew to being a crew coach, and I have currently been promoted to site supervisor and a driver here at CityLink. Going through the CEO program as a participant, like who would have thought that I would have been an employee here now? And I'm around other individuals that are in the same circumstances I was in, so I'm able to help them. I've worked with CEO as an actual employee now for about 2 months. And one thing that I love about being an employee here at CEO, you can just be yourself. You can feel comfortable. People here understand. When I came here, I was just on the ground. I think I probably was crawling in here crying. If you would have seen me before for how I'm sitting here today, like it's a big difference. They've really uplifted me. I feel really great and proud of myself to be able to share this experience with my boys. I think this is important because now they see that you can change, that you don't have to stay down just because a negative past. I can just tell by their actions that they're proud of me, like especially this event we had here at CityLink, just to appreciate some of the participants here. They just really cheered me on and they were just so excited. So just their actions for me show that they're proud of me. I can tell that they're proud of me and they're happy about the path that I'm taking now.
I think CityLink means a big deal to those who want to change their lives in a positive direction, but never had the resources or knowledge or how to.
I recommend CityLink to anyone. The support and where it can put you, like they don't just help you get the job, they help you all over the board. CityLink literally helps you do it all.
This place is very important, especially to people that's been impacted by incarceration. They give you inspiration. This is the best place I could have ever came to.
It's more than just one agency. It's a lot of organizations working together for the same mission, to see people smash through barriers, to change their life, and ultimately get to the goals that they set out for themselves and their families.